This video is about to blow your mind. I'm going to show you how I 2x my SEO traffic using Claude. So I've been experimenting with AI SEO workflows for over a year now, and I'm just now starting to make YouTube videos about it because I think I've cracked the code on how to actually do this, and it's not just producing AI slop articles. And as you can see, I ran this workflow back in July of last year, and I had this article that was getting around 29, 30 clicks per day. I ran this workflow and it jumped up to 94, 80, 100 clicks per day, so more than 2xing. I also ran this workflow again fairly recently, a couple weeks ago, to this article that was getting around 15 clicks a day, and then I ran the workflow and it is now getting about 26, 30, sometimes even up to 40 clicks per day. So that also doubled. Now this workflow is based off of a Claude skill that I created called the content refresh optimization. I'm not gonna go too in depth on what Claude skills are. There's tons of YouTube videos and resources online to look at. But essentially, just the high level overview, a Claude skill is you basically documenting a workflow, step-by-step instructions, and you give that to an LLM like Claude or ChatGPT, and it can basically download your brain and understand your workflow. So for example, when you hear people say like, tell ChatGPT you are an SEO expert and do XYZ, basically what ChatGPT is doing is it's figuring out what are the SEO best practices based off what's already publicly available on the web. It does not know the nuances of your workflow, of your business, of your website. So telling an LLM to act as an expert is kind of nonsense. You have to tell it what an expert is, how an expert thinks, it's the expert's workflows, how this expert approaches this type of work, in what stages, in what order, with what nuances and what behaviors. You have to basically create the expert, and then when you have that documentation, you give it to the LLM as a skill, and then it acts as the appropriate expert. And I've been working in SEO for over 10 years now. I have started one of the biggest marketing media companies and grown that through SEO. I've led SEO at startups in San Francisco. I've freelanced for dozens of SaaS companies and grown all of their sites. And so I have all of this information and nuance that I've then documented into this skill. And that's what this skill right here is. This is a part of, it's in beta right now. If you're watching this within the first week or 2 weeks that I've uploaded this video, I have this school community going on. It's in beta, and I have a bunch of skills in here. I'm not going to open all of them to show, but this is basically the first skill that I'm going over in this video, and it is essentially updating content, and it'll guide you through that entire process. And so how is updating content actually going to help us, achieve these 2x, 3x results? So let me first talk about the problem here before I jump right into this workflow and show it to you. The problem is that SEO traffic is not just like a set it and forget it kind of thing. It decays over time, as you can see. This piece of content, it had a lot of traffic, it calmed down, it kind of oscillated up and down, and then it just really decayed. And I ran this workflow and then it came back up. But as you can see, months go by and the same thing happens again. It starts to decay. And I actually ran this workflow a couple of days ago for this blog post. So the Google Search Console results have not caught up yet, but the keyword improvements have shifted as I've seen it for myself. But I didn't want to wait another 2 weeks to upload this video. But then I did it with this one too. As you can see, this article, I launched it, it started ranking, it started decaying. I ran the workflow recently, and these are the results. And so over time, content from or SEO traffic to your content will decay. And so it's really important to be republishing and re-updating your content once to twice a year. You generally don't want to go more than twice a year. I've seen when you do this too much, it can actually backfire. But once or twice a year, you definitely want to go back to your top performing content and run this type of workflow. And you can also run this workflow with content that maybe has never even reached the top position. So sometimes good content can get stuck in the middle of the first page and the bottom of the first page. And so you can actually run this workflow if you're not driving backlinks or anything to that piece of content. You can actually help that content resurface for more keywords if you go back and refresh it, because at the end of the day, you're leaving a lot of traffic on the table from long tail keywords that you're not targeting. And so I'm going to show this to you right now. Now, the solution to all this is, like I said, regular content refreshes, because the freshness signals not only matter for traditional Google search or Bing search, they also matter for AI. And they're even more important for AI SEO or GEO or AEO or whatever you want to call it. They love fresh content. And at the same time, strategic keyword expansion is the way that you can capture more search variations. So for example, this piece of content, which is around the best newsletter platforms, if I look at, say, the total impressions, I can see that there are some keywords where they're getting tons of impressions. For example, this one's getting over 30,000 impressions, but it's only getting about 143 clicks. Whereas this keyword is getting half those impressions, like 17,000, and it's getting more than double those clicks, almost 600 clicks just to that. And so there's probably opportunities here to go back in that piece of content, sprinkle in some of these keywords that are getting a lot of impressions but low clicks, and basically help those keywords show up more in search results. Maybe if I search, newsletter sites, this keyword ranks on the second page for this keyword, but if I include it more in the piece of content, it might go from the second page to ranking in the middle of the first page, and this goes up from 69 clicks to, like 100 clicks. And so over time, all those add up every time we do the refresh, and that contributes to the total number of clicks. And so doing this manually is tedious and it's easy to mess up. Historically, us SEOs, we had to go through in Search Console and look at these keywords, handpick them, and then also double check to see, was that keyword already inside the piece of content or not? You'd have to copy this and you'd have to Command F and see, is that keyword already in that on that page? And so it's very tedious. And now with AI and this Claude skill that I'm going to show you, you can actually do this really fast. How do we bridge the gap between that problem and the solution? Well, now we have the AI workflow powered by Claude skill. And again, I'm just quickly reiterating, Claude skill is basically just a reusable workflow that you save in a Claude project, and it runs the same process based off of a trigger. So here in Claude, I have a project, and if I go to the instructions section, as you can see, this is another little prompt skill I have that's from the community. But this is basically that entire system prompt or the skill that I'm using for this entire content refresh workflow. And it is incredible. I'm actually really blown away at how well it works. And it blows my mind that AI has come this far. And if you can use it in the right ways, it's really, really insane. So let me just stop rambling and show you. So to activate this skill, I can say anything like update, or I want to update a piece of content or anything, and it's just running my regular workflow. So it's going to go through and it knows based off of that keyword or that term that I just said, update, that it has to trigger that content refresh skill. So here it says, great, I can help you optimize content, paste the URL of the page that you want to update. So in this case, I have a blog post around the best marketing books. It used to rank number 1. It's sort of decayed over time, and also the year is wrong. And so it's due for an update. So for this article, basically, I just need to take this URL, and inside of Claude, I'm literally just going to paste it. And what Claude is going to do is it's just going to search that. It's going to fetch the page. It's going to analyze and scrape all the content information on the page so it knows exactly what is written on that page. Then the workflow is going to ask, how would you like to update this? Do you want to just add new keywords in there and it'll show me where to place them? Do I want to review any current internal links? Maybe there's some broken links that we can replace. Maybe there's some new content we've produced that is relevant to this piece of content, so we can go back and add it in here to grow the topical authority of our content and our website, or we can do both. I recommend both. So let's go ahead and do that. And cool, now it says both, and then it's going to say, do you want to list keywords manually? So paste in like a list of keywords if you have them. So you can like go in here and hand select some keywords, or if you're using ClearScope or Surfer, you can kind of export those keywords and add them in here. Or what's even easier is upload a Google Search Console screenshot. or we can do both. We can paste and do the screenshot. I'm going to do the screenshot for the sake of this video. So let's go ahead and do that. And now we can see that it's basically telling us how to actually approach this. It says you're viewing the queries. So go into Google Search Console and okay, so now it tells us what to do before the screenshot. So before you take the screenshot, make sure you're viewing queries for the page we're optimizing, which we're not. Let me do that. Okay, so here we are now viewing that page. And then make sure that all three columns are visible. So clicks, impressions, and position. So there's clicks, impressions. There's also average CTR, but we can ignore that. We want to select position. Then it says sort by impressions, highest to lowest. So I'm going to click impressions and highest to lowest. And then it's going to say capture as many rows as possible. So I'm going to just do 100. And then I'm just going to, on my Mac, command and then the minus key and just make this really small and just try to pull in as many as I can. I'm actually not going to do too many right now because my Claude session is using a lot of information. So I'm just going to pull this much just for the example of this video. And now I'm going to simply just drag in that screenshot. And now this part might take a few seconds, about like 30 seconds, to basically go and analyze that screenshot so it can know, based off of the logic that I've given it. So I've programmed this skill to know what to look for within the ratio of clicks to impressions to the average position. And so it knows that logic. And so it's applying that to the screenshot, which is why it just takes some time to run through it. But there you go. Boom. Even not that long, 30 seconds, not too bad. It'll literally now tell us, what keywords that it's prioritizing from Google Search Console. So digital marketing books, social media marketing books, content marketing books, advertising books, best books for SEO, all this stuff. It's saying the impressions, the clicks, the position, and kind of why it stands out. And then it gives us our top recommendations. So basically now what we can do is it's saying, would you like me to proceed with placement recommendations? Or do you want to adjust anything here? I think this looks perfect and it's fine. So let's go ahead and just say proceed with Rex. You can be pretty informal with it. The Claude agent is just so smart. It's mind-blowing. Cool. Now it's giving us our recommendations. So it's saying the keyword digital marketing books. It's coming up in this section on .com secrets. So this is how powerful this kind of workflow is. It literally scraped this entire page. It knows all the content. It knows .com secrets that I have here. I listed as the number 10 book. It knows it's book number 10. Wild. So it says where it currently says if you're a digital marketer or just want to learn about general digital marketing strategies, this book is a must read. And it says change it to if you're a digital marketer or just want to learn about general digital marketing strategies. This is one of the best digital marketing books. So as you can see, it took digital marketing books and it naturally embedded it into that paragraph. We can see it with another one here, like content marketing books. So Epic Content Marketing, book number 8. There we go, book number 8. It knew that. And it says where it says originally published and blah, 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 blah. So pretty much this entire first paragraph, it's saying originally published in 2013. Epic Content Marketing is one of the best content marketing books ever written. It opened my eyes to a world of content marketing, SEO, content writing for the first time. And so it is literally just, it looks so real. Yes, it's generated with AI, but the way that you actually get this to work is AI is the output of it. The quality of the output comes from two things before the output. The first thing being the data. And so this content from all this text is data. I wrote this piece of content well before ChatGPT launched. So this was all human written. I typed every single word out on this page. And so it's all from lived experience. I read these books and that's why I wrote this article. And that's why it ranks pretty well on the first page. But it has all that data from my lived experience. Next, after data is guardrails. And the Claude skill is the guardrails of how to interact with the data. And then when you have those two in place and you give it prompts, that's how you get a really good output. So in this case, when it basically rewrote this paragraph to change it to this with adding in this keyword, content marketing books, it's so organic and it just reads so well because of the Claude Skills guardrails and because it already was referring content that was written by a human. And so I can go through now and just one by one implement these within my CMS, and I know exactly where to fill in those keywords or where to just copy, paste, edit those paragraphs. Whereas before, manually, not only did you have to figure out what keywords to include, but then you had to go into your CMS, Command F or Control F, like find those sections and basically just make up sections where they should be included, where the AI agent knows where the best place is to organically insert those keywords. And here it'll tell you kind of the whole structure again of summary all placements. Now, one part is including more keywords that are relevant so you can show up for more keywords and thus increasing the overall, reach of that piece of content after you've published it with a new publish date. The other part is checking your internal links. So I wrote this piece of content, many years ago, and I updated it like more than half a year ago. And so within the past 6 months, I've probably written other pieces of content that could be related to this one. And it might make sense to include those links and interlink those pieces of content together because it is going to help build that topical authority. And so the next part of the update is doing a link audit. So let's just say, let's do the internal link audit. And now, because it already knows in this session that we're referring to this blog post on the best marketing books, it's going to basically, again, scrape that piece of content. It's going to fetch all of the internal links. So you'll see in a sec when this populates, I basically, in the prompt, told it to look at links that are only on the same domain. So this case, it's Marketer Milk. So it's going to only analyze other links on this page that are from Marketer Milk. As you can see, internal link audit, site origin, marketermilk.com, and it's pulling in the current internal links that are on the page. So there's one about marketing courses, there's one about how to get into marketing. All of these are there in the body of the content. It'll also tell me like the dynamic stuff. So there's some other stuff around like the footer, down here that it's pulling, but it's pulling it separate from the actual blog content. And this is all programmed into the skill. Now, as you can see, it's not giving me link recommendations on like the outbound links that go to like this one that goes to like Amazon, or there are other websites. Most of them go to Amazon. It's not pulling in those, it's pulling the internal links. And then what we can do is you can say, would you like me to recommend new internal links? And now here I've reached my limit, but I'm just gonna go past it and just pay per message right now. I've been using Claude a lot. I've been also using Claude Code, so I'm just having a lot of extra usage stuff going on, but that's fine, I'll purchase that. Okay, so now I can just say, recommend new links. And now in order to find these new links, because it is not integrating with your CMS, what it does is it's going to access your sitemap. So I've had it set up to just pull in a general sitemap, which is like what most websites use. Like this one is mine right here. But I know some other websites, their sitemap is maybe slightly worded differently or it's in a different folder. Basically, you want to figure, and I've listed that here, you want to figure out where your other blog posts or pages are mentioned in your sitemap and where that sitemap is. And so from here, I'm just going to paste in my sitemap. Okay, now as you can see, it is going to analyze the sitemap. And now as you can see, it's pulling in the internal link recommendation. So it's saying link to this blog post around the best SEO courses, where it says this, and then change it to this and link it out here. And as you can see, it just goes through this for all of these. And now it says that there used to be 7 internal links, and now after the update, it's giving you 12 based off of these new internal link, the destination, and then the location within the content. And so this is super powerful. Now, in the future, I'm going to show you how you can create an AI agent to help you actually implement these changes. Right now, you want to do them manually. You want to have that human in the loop. It's still really important. SEO still matters. People still matter in marketing. So this workflow is just allowing you to work faster. I no longer have to go in my Google Search Console and handpick keywords. I no longer have to go and constantly figure out exactly where they're supposed to be. And then same thing with internal links. I don't have to figure out which internal links. I don't have to figure out where they're supposed to be. I can just have this workflow tell me where everything is supposed to be, and then I just follow it in my CMS. Now, there are some other ways of using Claude MCP to take over your browser, and I've experimented with it, but I do not recommend it, at least not right now. It's a little dangerous to let these things control your web browser with like prompt injection and hacking stuff. And it's also not that great so far. I tried to get Claude to make these recommendations on its own, and it took it like 10 minutes just to figure out how to insert an internal link. It was just not good. So right now, still doing that part manually, but figuring out the stuff to work on and the stuff to implement with AI is super powerful. So I hope you learned something in this video. If there's any more videos on AI SEO related topics that you want to see, let me know. I am creating an AI SEO course that is in my school community. Currently in the school community, there is my previous course, which is still evergreen. And it's over 11 hours of content that goes through the fundamentals, setting up your website, crafting a content strategy, writing content, publishing to your website, analytics, setting up conversion tracking, backlinks, all that kind of stuff. It's a full course, but then this new AI SEO course is basically showing you how to do things faster with AI. And so it's in beta if you want to join, link in the description. But that's it. Much love. Catch you in the next one. Peace.